We're doing a countdown. Okay, so I think the room is ready to rock and roll. You all have audio? Yes? You can hear? Yes? All right, so we want to get quorum, and it's going to take us a few minutes. And I apologize for moving a little bit around on the agenda, but Mary Wack, the Vice Provost for, I don't remember now, Mary, is going to introduce some emergency changes that are under consideration from the Provost Office for grading for spring 2020. So we'll let Mary do that and ask questions. We're going to ask that when you're not asking a question, please mute yourself, and let's go from there. Okay, take it away.
Okay, Greg, can you hear me now?
We can.
Great. So I just want to frame this proposal with some considerations. The sudden shift to online teaching and learning has brought concerns about grading to the fore. You probably know that students at WSU, students across the state, students around the country are extremely concerned about fairness and equity in grading when they don't have the usual academic supports, the structures, and their lives have been turned upside down with loss of income. They're in a place that they're not typically accessing education from. So we've worked out this plan to try and balance a number of these considerations. And this was the Provost's office, the Registrar's office, colleges, and campuses. So first thing to note is WSU is different than our sister schools in Washington that are on the quarter system. We've already had half the semester under our belt. And of all the state institutions, we were and are the best positioned to make this transition to online rapidly. And in fact, I think even though we're just a few days in and there are still some hurdles to overcome, I think it's been remarkable what we have collectively accomplished to get to this point. So I think the point is that we are pretty well positioned to preserve some degree of normalcy in our academic enterprise compared to some other institutions. That said, however, we need to provide as much choice and flexibility as we can for students. And as I said, many of them have difficult situations, and we need to support them through this. On the other hand, some of them may not want or may be academically harmed by pass-fail in all of their courses. And I want to step back for a second and just mention that we in Washington really are on the leading edge of this whole COVID-19 situation. Accreditors across the country haven't all caught up to what this is doing, to teaching, learning, to accreditation standards, to requirements. And so we do need to acknowledge some disciplinary constraints as we make decisions now, even though in a few weeks or a month or 6 weeks, those accreditors may change their regulations. So as an example, I just got an email within the last hour noting that health sciences disciplines across the country haven't come to any kind of consensus over acceptance of pass-fail grading. So we don't want to impose a grade structure that would require a student perhaps to retake the course in the following semester or the following year. So our job is to reduce anxiety for students and make it possible for them to learn in this very stressful situation. But at the same time, as faculty and as leaders in higher ed, it's our job to look ahead and plan for the good of students when academic life returns to normal in the not so distant future. So this proposal for grading seeks to strike that balance. It extends deadlines pretty significantly, and it expands the availability of pass-fail and W options, but it doesn't impose a universal pass-fail grading scheme. So if you look at the top of the slide, just a couple of comments there. So we're extending the deadline from, I think it was in February to May 1st. We have opened it up so that pass-fail option can be used for UCOR and honors courses. That was not the case before. It's easy for students to request. It is simply not feasible to get signatures or any kind of systematic prior approval, but we will strongly recommend that students contact advisors, and advisors will reach out. And then in terms of course withdrawals, we're raising the limit from 4 to 6, and again, extending that deadline to May 1st. There is a little bit of finessing that had to be done because of some things we discovered in the system. And this is the attempt to do justice to all sides while giving more choice and flexibility to students. And that is, a lot of disciplines require a C or above for prerequisites or for courses in the major. Our system recognized both C and D as passing, and we needed a way to distinguish that so that it would be clear for certain disciplines that a pass would meet the standards imposed by their accreditors or other aspects of the discipline for a C. But again, other disciplines may not require that, and so we had to signify pass with a different marker for those disciplines who might have a lower grade threshold. And so there's a bit of explanation at the bottom of the slide. And the point I want to end with, excuse me, is that I hope departments will be really generous in accepting these grades. Students who are the ones who have the least support, the greatest financial need, the most disrupted living situations, these are the ones who are going to need this flexibility the most. And so I hope that where it is possible to extend this option, departments can do that. Greg, back to you.
Okay, so is my mic better now?
Yeah, you're a bit louder.
Okay, great. I had it too far down. We have made quorum, and I just want to say too that this document is on the Senate website. I just did it really quickly as a PowerPoint. This is going to come out, Mary, as a memo from the provost office.
Yes, I believe it will go through the COVID website, but then we'll push it out to advisors, departments, run it through the regular academic communication channels.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions for Mary on this? Or perhaps if you do have questions, you could, okay, shoot. I don't know who started.
Matt Caraho, just a quick one. Is this a student choosing to go pass fail or not on a class going to be visible or invisible to the instructor? In other words, it seems to me the registrar could could do that and it would be invisible to the instructor, and it might be better that way.
It is invisible to the instructor.
Oh, I did not know that. That we should
Great,
say.
great.
Yeah, this is Matt Zimmerman, because this instructor enters a grade and then MyWSU converts it to a P or a PP.
Sorry, PP.
I know.
Okay, so any other questions for Mary? Thank you so
Yeah.
much. I know that, oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, Greg. Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, sure.
So I think I just got confused out of nowhere right there. We can go ahead and report, let's see, a D or a C or a B minus, and the registrar's office is automatically going to convert that to the P or PP?
When grades post, when grades are processed after they're due, the system automatically converts that letter grade to the appropriate pass grade, either a P or a PP.
So as faculty, we can just go with what we've got going on.
Correct. You have to enter a letter grade.
All right, thank you.
But
But
Matt,
that's,
just to-
excuse me, that's if the student elects that, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
It seems
Yeah.
like a bit of additional labor to the faculty
From
to
what,
come down to the minutia of the 10th of points for it to be overridden. So is there, I mean, can we have a conversation with the students? Can we ask them?
for what to be overridden, Robin?
Well, so some of, I mean, so to do the traditional grades and you come down to 87.5, and is that a B or a B minus or a B plus? And then we do the labor of all that work and figuring out the exact average. And then if the student has elected for a pass fail, that work is kind of for naught if we don't know it ahead of time.
But that's what we do standard. That's our standard sort of grading load. So it's not like we're doing extra work.
And there are some departments and some cases where that information is sought after grades post for certification purposes or other purposes having to do with processes in the department that would require grades. So it's just kind of what's built into the system already.
And is it true that also students can revert to the letter grade after they've chosen, or they can, is that also built in this or not?
So before May 1, if they decide, well, I'm doing well enough and I don't need pass fail or I don't want pass fail, they can reverse their choice and the grade will post regularly. But Matt, you're more familiar with the process after grades post.
well, yeah, it's a rare process. I mean, we will have two forms on the website that will post once this is that will go live. And the form will be to change from graded to pass fail and to reverse that. After grades post, that's sort of I guess we have to address that. I mean, that in normal cases, that would be an exception and we'd have to deal with that. So we can do anything in the registrar's office. So I guess we have to
Yes,
see
you can.
what we're going to do after the grades post.
So,
That's a discussion.
so
But
just to be,
I mean, if they decide, say right now, or as soon as they can to go pass fail, and then, they're doing well there, and then it's before May 1st, they can revert before grades are posted, right? They can
Oh,
go
yes,
back and
they
forth.
they just go back to the same website and fill out the different online form and we'll reverse it. So yes,
So that's where the actual calculation does matter.
yes.
so just to be clear, that instructors they're not even informed about this. We just do our job as we normally do our job. And this is all handled behind the scenes with the student submitting the request via the website or whatever to the registrar's office and whoever else needs to know.
That's correct. The student to the registrar's office, and then MyWSU will do the automatic conversion.
Thank you.
And Matt, I guess I'd like to say one thing to think about as well, because a lot of times students, there are some faculty that let students know every week where their grade is, and there are some faculty that don't. And so there are some students that might not know until their grade posts what their letter grade actually is. So I'd like to, I can't remember who said it, maybe it was Robin, or I can't remember who said it, but to have some window after grades post to allow students to revert. I mean, if there's some, is there some way of notifying, I guess they wouldn't know it, would they? They wouldn't know what their letter grade was.
They wouldn't know what their letter grade was, but if they ended up like with a PP, for example, I mean, they could go back to the instructor, find out what their grade was, and then we can make the change. And we have to have a little discussion on that. But
okay.
Can I interrupt that? I'm kind of thinking, so we as instructors or we as faculty are going to go ahead and put the message out there. We're going to put the so you know, based on my rubric, however, my metric that I've graded, you've received a C-, and then they get a PP, and then we're going to ask them to come in and talk to us about what their PP really sounds.
no, yeah, no, what typically would happen, I mean, after grades post, if there's going to be a change to that, that's typically a petition that the student has to do, and the instructor has the instructor's involved in a normal petition. So, so we have to talk about that. I mean, typically once grade post, we have a petition and there's a process. So we're not going to tell students.
I don't want to be put in that situation where the young seniors come at you. So how'd I really do?
Well,
you did a P.
So after grades post, generally there's a petition process and a petition committee. So if someone comes back and says, I want to change my grade to something else, typically we petition, and then the instructor is involved in that process. And petition committees don't override what the instructor's decision
is. And is that going to be allowed for if there's a global that comes over on this semester, this semester's P's and F's? Is there going to be a way to change those, or are we just going to leave those?
Not sure I understand the question.
Well, I guess my question is, could it not be that the students see their letter grades and then at that point elect to maintain their letter grades or have them go to P, PP, or fail?
Thank you, Greg.
I mean,
and how does this benefit students?
Because they might not know until their grades post that they're getting a letter grade of B, and they might elect to go pass fail and get a PP.
Well, whose fault is it that students don't know their grades before they post? All they've got to do is come and ask us, faculty and instructors, how did you do during the class? And what faculty member isn't interested to talk about that sort of thing? How does giving PP versus P versus any letter grade benefit students?
Well, in my class, the final counts as half their grade. So if they make this decision on May 1, their final by mandate of the university is at minimum 50% of their grade. So their grade could completely change from May 1 to May 4. That's English Comp 101. So,
and I would say that
for them to see the final outcome.
Finals weigh sometimes between 25 and 50% of the grade. That's a significant portion of a letter grade. Mary, could you take that under advisement that maybe we could give some more flexibility in students selecting what they want to do at that level after they see what their letter grades actually are?
Sure. I think we can work something out so that we can address these issues that have been raised. I don't see a problem with that.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
And just one more clarification that the instructors don't need to communicate with the students. We don't need to tell our students about these options. You will handle that directly with them. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have quorum. We can call the meeting to order. And let's remind everybody that unless you're voting or asking questions, please mute your mics. And I also just wanted to take a moment to thank everybody for the tremendous amount of work that everybody's done over this last week under extraordinary circumstances. And I have been asked on several occasions to say how do you think the faculty would go with this? And pretty much every time I've talked to a faculty member, they've said whatever it takes for student success. So I'm just really grateful for everybody's effort. Okay, approval of the minutes of March 5th. Are there any changes to the minutes of March 5th, Exhibit A? Okay, they are approved. Announcements. Elections were certified today, and I'm happy to say that Doug Call is our new chair-elect, and Matt Huddleston is our new executive secretary. And then the other information items, and ordinarily we would applaud. So I guess we can on Zoom. And now we have a minor change bulletin 10 as Exhibit B. So my reports are mixed. So as you know, there will be a town hall tomorrow. It's been widely advertised. The link is on the Senate agenda. It's at WSU Experience. Questions can be submitted in advance. And this is going to be the president and the provost and other administrators talking about COVID-19 and the responses to COVID-19. So I encourage you to attend that and ask questions that you have. Everything has been pushed to the wsu.edu/COVID-19 website. Academic information, operations information, everything is there now. And Mary already spoke on that. Dave, do you want to give us a brief update on the search committee for the provost?
Sure. Everything's going forward according to plan. We're on schedule. We have interviews coming up shortly, and everything seems to be in good shape.
Anybody questions? No? Okay. I'm trying to give enough pause for I've learned. Okay, so we also have an update to the Faculty Status Committee, which is linked here in the bylaws. And Sarah is here to answer any questions to that update. Sarah, do you want to maybe give a couple minute summary of the goals behind that?
Sure, thank you very much. Basically, about a year ago, I believe, Greg, you approached the Faculty Status Committee about possibly expanding our representation for career track faculty. So we've worked to adjust our bylaws so that we could include 3 new members to the Faculty Status Committee that would be career track. So in the upcoming elections that you'll be seeing soon, we'll have a set of tenure track faculty and a set of career track faculty to vote on, and everybody can vote for both career track and tenure track faculty. And we'll be adding those 3 members then starting in August.
Cool. And this actually came from Ted Chauvin in Spokane. That was his request. I'm just carrying it forward. Any questions for Sarah? Okay, thank you so much.
Welcome.
The last thing for my remarks are the official response to draft 1 of the strategic plan that took about a month of soliciting faculty feedback was presented to the president, and we are meeting with, and in the meantime, a draft 2 came out, which I'm not sure how that happened. But anyway, we're meeting with the president on April 1st, and just looking briefly at draft 2, it doesn't seem to have addressed many of the concerns that I heard from you that were in that report. So what we would like what we're going to ask the president to do on April 1st is formally respond to the Senate's request for consideration in the strategic plan, respond to our comments. So that's all I know. We've had very little information on the strategic planning process thus far. The strategic planning meeting that was scheduled for this week was canceled. Any questions on that? Okay. Are there any additions or changes to today's agenda? Nope. Now voting. So again, when we're voting, we're not really set up yet to do Zoom polling or do the hands thing. So we're just going to do it by audio. So yes or no, and then I'll leave a pause for for the talk. Okay. So unmute your mic when you're voting. Action item 1, recommendation from the Academic Affairs Committee to establish the new degree of BS in Viticulture and Enology, Exhibits Y, and Casey is here to discuss. All in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed? Oh, sorry. Any opposed? Action item 1 passes. Action item number 2, recommendation from the Academic Affairs Committee to approve the revision to Rule 90F, elimination of the ASF grading basis, Exhibits Z. Casey is here. All in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed? Please say no. Action item 2 passes. Action item 3, recommendation from the Academic Affairs Committee to establish new Rule 145, discontinued degree programs, Exhibit C. Casey is here. On a beach. All in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed? Action item 3 passes. Action item 4, recommendation from the Academic Affairs Committee to approve the revision to Rule 72, reasonable religious accommodations, Exhibits D. Casey is here.
Yeah, Greg, this is Vaughn Walden. I don't know whether this is the proper forum to answer my question, but I did have a student email me this semester and said that the student was under religious medical care for about a week and was wondering what sort of what classes they missed and quizzes and so forth and how they could make up that work. And I really didn't know how to respond to that. And I'm wondering, you know, I just didn't respond at all because I was afraid that I might be doing something improper in terms of stomping on the student's religious freedom. Is there something in place that where a faculty can require some sort of documentation that they,
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Dean of Students. So
Okay.
any situation like that, our Dean of Students office now is one-stop shopping. And so if there's any sort of thing like that in terms of medical treatment or what have you, the Dean of Students can help be the intermediary in that process.
Okay.
Any other comments on action item 4?
Yeah, actually, I have a question too regarding this. I had a student who approached me and told me that she was about to celebrate Lent, which is 40 days before Holy Week. And the idea of this student was to keep quiet, to be in silence during the 40 days. And this is going, of course, affects participation in class grade, not only in my class, but in the class of several other colleagues. And I remember that at that time we didn't know what to do because we didn't want to give the impression that we were against her religious beliefs or practices. So it's a very, ambivalent space. What is fair and what is not fair, what we can accept or not, and also why the new narrative about this policy at the end says that if the student feels that he or she has been treated in an unfair way, he or she can complain and all that. So it's like there is an assumption that we are going to receive complaints about this instead of leaving it without that, final sentence there. Those are my concerns about this. What is the limit?
So I want to point out one thing, and then I'll hand it to Casey. So any instance like that, like what Vaughn was saying, Jill Creighton, I worked with now for 9 months as our Dean of Students,
I think
and she
they're
is phenomenal.
in one of the grey baskets or one of the drawers in the sitting room.
Anyway, so she is phenomenal. And so when you have a question like that in any situation, whether it be a request of religious accommodation or otherwise, she is the one that can help mediate those kinds of gray areas. So Casey, on the specific, yes?
Greg, I just throw in, it does say in here right in the middle that that the student must, if they're requesting accommodation, must provide written notice within the first 2 weeks of the beginning of the course and include specific dates for the absences. So that is in there just to draw it to attention.
So Casey, do you have any comments about the specific regulation going off what Charles said?
So this was actually a federal, or not federal, state, I can't remember, federal or state mandate. So this isn't even language that we can change or adapt. It's what was provided to us. We've actually already, I think, and Becky can help us too, we'd already approved this in a different location, but then we wanted to add it into this location. So we were trying to have kind of everything that might cause a student to miss class in Rule 72 in one spot. So this already is approved in the university. We just moved it so that it's also in this spot. Becky, do you have anything? Becky might have something to add too.
Just to say that's absolutely correct. It's a separate rule on religious observances, but we felt like it was important to also have in this rule on absences. And like Casey said, this is sort of legislation that came forward that we had to adapt our policy to fit.
So
I'm sorry, go ahead.
my understanding would be then that if the student does not submit written notification and request within the first 2 weeks, if they come after that and request it, that we're not obliged, according to law or other things, to, well, I mean, not that I wouldn't want to necessarily, but technically speaking, that we wouldn't be obliged if they didn't make those requests up front in the beginning of the semester within the first 2 weeks.
I think you're right, Charles. That's what it
Yeah,
says.
the problem is this student that I had came in a week after she'd been gone for a week. And I still didn't touch it because I was still nervous. Now I know what to do in this case. Is that documented somewhere else, like in the student handbook or something, so that the student knows what they need to do? Because, yeah.
Yeah, and again, the student handbook all runs through student affairs and stuff, and Jill Creighton and her staff are phenomenal in helping deal with these gray areas. So,
okay.
Vaughn, I think that was outside of this policy.
Right.
So anyway.
Yep.
All right.
Sounds good.
So all in favor of action item number 4, please say yes.
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 Any opposed, please say no. Okay, action item number 5, recommendation.
Abstentions?
What was that?
Are there, do you call for abstentions?
No, we
Oh,
don't.
sure. Oh, we don't, sorry. Thank you, Dave. Parliamentarian Dave. Number 5, recommendation from the Academic Affairs Committee to eliminate the Psi UCOR designation Exhibit E. Casey is here to discuss. All in favor, please say yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, please say no. Action item 5 passes. Action item 6, recommendation from the Professional Health Sciences Committee to approve the MOU for concurrent degree enrollment for Doctor of Pharmacy students, Exhibit F. Alex and Umesh are here to discuss.
Alex.
Oh, wait, no, this is Professional Health Sciences. This would be John. John is here to discuss.
No, this is concurrent. Sorry to interrupt. This
Oh.
is concurrent enrollment. So,
Okay, so Alex, Umesh, and John. Any discussion? All in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed,
Yes.
please say no. Okay, we're on to 7. Recommendation from the Faculty Affairs Committee to amend the faculty manual regarding emeritus faculty appointments, Section 3G, Exhibits P, P1, and P2. Steve is here to discuss. All in favor, please say yes.
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 Yeah.
Opposed, please say no. Oh, sorry. Any opposed, please say no. Number 8, recommendation from the Faculty Affairs Committee to amend the faculty manual on faculty leave and tenure clock, sections 3C, 6J, exhibits G, G1, and G2. Steve is here. All in favor, please say yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Any opposed, please say no. 8 passes. 9. Recommendation from the Faculty Affairs Committee to amend the faculty manual on tracks and appointments, section IA, faculty structure, or 1A, faculty structure, 3E, termination. Exhibits H, H1, H2, H3, H4, H5. Steve is here to discuss. All in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed, please say no. 10, recommendation from Academic Affairs, Graduate Study Committee, Professional Health Sciences Committee to approve revision to Rule 50, Exhibits I, Casey, Alex, Umesh, and John. All in favor, please say yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, sorry. All, any opposed, please say no. Point of order. Okay. Discussion items, and there are a lot. Discussion items, recommendation from the Academic Affairs Committee to approve the undergraduate major change bulletin 11. Casey is here. Discussion item number 2, recommendation. Discussion item 2, recommendation from the Academic Affairs Committee to approve the UCOR change bulletin number 4, exhibits K. Casey is here. Number 3, recommendation from the Academic Affairs Committee to approve the revision to Rule 110 undergraduate requirements for graduation, exhibits L. Casey is here. Discussion item number 4, recommendation from the Academic Affairs Committee to approve the revisions to Rule 6, transfer credits, 15, credit by examinations, 16, military credit, and 17, credit for prior learning, exhibits M. Casey is here. Number 5, recommendation from the Academic Affairs Committee and the Professional Health Sciences Committee to approve the proposal for posting grades to the transcript by session instead of by term, exhibits N. Casey and John are here.
I have a question.
Who's speaking? Oh, Alex.
Yeah, we're discussing that in the Graduate Studies Committee as well. One of the topics that came out there, if that's enforced for graduate students, there might be unintended consequences of graduate students having to have grades in the middle of the summer. And that may cause a lot of issues. So we're still discussing it, just raising a point that we may have some more feedback to that.
Number 6, recommendation from the Professional Health Sciences Committee to approve the major change bulletin number 4, exhibits O and O1. John is here. Number 7, recommendation from the Professional Health Sciences Committee to approve Rule 34, repeat courses, exhibits Q. Exhibit Q, and John is here. Recommendation from the Graduate Studies Committee to approve the Graduate Major Change Bulletin number 6, exhibits R. Alex and Umesh are here. Number 9, recommendation from the Graduate Studies Committee to approve a new plan for a graduate certificate in teaching college mathematics, exhibits S and S1. Alex and Umesh are here. Number 10, recommendation from the Graduate Studies Committee to approve a revised plan for the Graduate Certificate in Systems Engineering Management, exhibits T and T1. Alex and Umesh. Number 11, recommendation from the Graduate Studies Committee to approve the revised plan in PhD in Statistical Science, exhibits U and U1. Alex and Umesh are here. Number 12, recommendation from the Graduate Studies Committee to approve the Graduate School Policies and Procedure Manual, exhibits V, V1, V2, V3. Alex and Umesh are here.
Hi, this is Renee. I just had a really minor comment. It said that some of the general changes included changing to gender neutral language. And when I was reading through it, I caught a few instances of that hadn't been changed. Is there someone that I could just forward those to?
You can forward it to the Graduate Studies Committee.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, we are to 13. Recommendation from the Faculty Senate Steering Committee to amend the Faculty Senate Constitution, Articles 2, Section 1, Article 3, Section 3D, Exhibit W. And number 14, recommendation from the Faculty Senate Steering Committee to allow this committee to carry out all necessary functions of the Faculty Senate during the period of May 16th through August 15th, 2020. All right, now to constituent concerns.
Hey, Greg, this is Glenn in Spokane.
Hi, Glenn.
This will come as no surprise to you because of all of our back and forth, but I'd like to bring up perhaps forming a task force or some body that will investigate the practices of WSU HRS in hopes of reforming their business practices and having them work with faculty and staff in a more collaborative manner. I understand that now is not the time to do that, but I don't want this to fall off the radar. Perhaps this is something that the Faculty Senate can take up in the fall. This is a very important topic, I'm sure, to many of you. I can speak with pretty strong confidence, at least in Spokane, that HRS has been very, very difficult to work with. They have not been collaborative, they've been more obstructionist, and they certainly have not been advisory, which they claim to be. They've been very heavy-handed and actually kind of preventing certain things from happening despite hiring managers' wishes. So at this point, I think it's really imperative that we investigate this somewhat and come up with some recommendations to the president for reforming HRS.
So your proposal is to create a Faculty Senate task force to look at HRS in terms of hiring policies and practices?
Correct.
And that would be in the fall?
I think that would be the better time. None of us are going to have the bandwidth to do that right now. I just don't want this to fall off the radar. I think this has gone on far too long.
So my general thought is anybody that is proposing a task force, would you be willing to chair such a task force or co-chair such a task force?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Hey, Glenn, this is Daryl from the Carson College of Business. Can you give us just one example? I'm not debating this issue. I'd just like to be more informed.
Yeah, so I'm a chair, and so I have to go through, search processes. So we've had probably 7-8 search committees since I've been chair, and every single search committee we've gone through, HR has put us through the ringer from the beginning, which is just language in the position descriptions, which ironically enough, we download from their website and use their own verbiage, all the way to the point of, extending an offer and fighting us tooth and nail with salary issues and whatnot. Just a very, very long, drawn out process. We've lost faculty, we've lost staff due to these time issues because of their unwillingness to match salary. Those are just a couple of quick examples.
On the College of Business, in the College of Business, we seem to negotiate the salary, and that's done at the college level, not with HRS. I wonder if any others are having the same issue that's being discussed. Seems unique, maybe.
So I understand your concern, and this is where Greg has been a little, I'd say, annoyed at the exchanges we've had, because that is not exactly his practice, but they have been very heavy-handed, and I've gotten emails saying, we will not approve that salary level. So language like that is definitely not advisory. That's very heavy-handed. And me being the holder of my budget, if I work with my college finance officer and he or she agrees that we can do this, then I really don't think HRS should be in a position to just stop that hire. And that has been the case for us.
So Glenn, when Senate steering meets again next, let's talk about this and figure out maybe a path forward for a fall group to do what you ask.
That'd be great.
Greg, John Barber from
John.
Vancouver. My constituents are asking about summer. Is there any discussion that would involve summer classes? Anything that we might need or want to know? I realize
Yes.
everything is in a state of flux, but it is nice to look ahead.
Yes, and let me pull this up. Mary, is Mary still online? Okay, hold on, let me pull this up real quick. So in my own home department, I'm struggling with this now as well. And Mary is not online. There is something called the Executive Policy Group that is coming out with guidance for summer on April 6th, I believe. And which is just next week, isn't it? Or maybe week after next. Anyway, so there is going to be some summer guidance. All I can tell you is that what we're planning on in my department, what I'm planning on is to continue online course offerings because a big series of our classes start the Monday after graduation. So, or not graduation, but the Monday after the former day of graduation. So that I think that it's prudent to plan on online delivery this summer. Oh, and I can tell you something else. We had a meeting with Dave Soleil, who is our Chancellor of Global Campus and the Vice President of Academic Outreach and Innovation. There's so many damn titles. Anyway, he said that summer enrollment to date is at an all-time high compared to prior years. And he also said that summer enrollment in global classes, online classes, I think it was last year or the year before, exceeded face-to-face classes. So it looks like right now that summer enrollments are up. So I expect that we'll hear more in April 6th. And it's honestly, I mean, it's like this thing that Mary talked about today. That email came about an hour before Senate. So we're not really in a position we're not having much voice in helping shape policy, but at least they're sharing some of the policy with us and we can sort of, discuss it.
Well, I appreciate the update. Thank you. But that does then seem to bring up a larger issue in that the faculty is not involved in shaping policy going forward.
I think that under ordinary circumstances they are, but with this COVID-19 emergency, things are moving so quickly. And also is just the whole, I'm not making excuses. I wish we were more involved. And that's something that I think that we can bring up in our meeting with the president and provost on the 1st of April.
Well, it just seems there's the potential for quite a number of decisions to be made in the context of we need to do this quickly that may have long-reaching and adversarial effects upon faculty going forward.
I agree
That's
with
what
you.
my folks are asking about.
I agree with you. I mean, we're looking right now at, that was the question is, can we hire faculty in the summer? When can we write their contracts? Because some of these classes start in a month and a half, 6 weeks. So we have to get contracts written. And I mean, I hear you. I do. I think that what this has been pushed to is the deans of the colleges and the chancellors of the campuses.
Well, I appreciate the update. Thank you.
Yeah.
I yield. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, there are conversations going on at different institutions about the, kind of valorization of immediate shifting and flexibility on the part of faculty. Of course, this is a pandemic, But I think there is a reason to be cautious about, not having faculty involved in the immediate changes that we need to be adapting to. In terms of the future, I just think that there are very high expectations in terms of this kind of transition, and they could leak, or they, I don't know what kind of labor issues are involved in being so wonderful at this. I'm not sure about that.
And
There's
I
not a
guess
question in there. It's a concern.
No, I think that we can add, this is a great agenda item for our discussion with the president and the provost, because, and this is just my opinion, I think that this is forever going to change how we do business. And I think that we need to be proactive. We have to be thinking about that and be involved in those decisions so that we make good decisions and that we make sure we meet our mission. And it's not just an administrative mission or a housing or what have you. I mean, it's the academic mission of the university, both in research and education and outreach and extension and all of that.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that more articulately than I did, Greg.
No, that's just, I've been thinking about this a lot. I mean, in my own department, I think, here we're now looking at how to do lab courses online. And how is that fundamentally going to change us with situations of TAs and hands-on experimental training? This is new for all of us.
Greg, Matt Carroll here.
Yes, go ahead, Matt.
Just to circle back to something we haven't talked about today, the matter of the investigation into the brouhaha with the previous provost. Senate decided not to do a separate investigation, but my understanding, excuse me, my understanding from you was that we will have representation in that ongoing investigation. Is there anything to report at this point? Any progress to report?
So I know that the last Senate meeting, I think I said, I know that the contract had been signed and information has been passed to the investigator. In a private communication with former Provost Montoya, she told me that she had scheduled an interview. She had been scheduled for an interview. So I have no new information about it other than I know it's still ongoing, and we've been told that we would have that it would be transparent. I will ask for an update and update you on the next Senate meeting.
Okay, thanks.
Greg, can I ask a question about what we were discussing before summer classes very quickly?
Sure.
Yes, I just wanted to also put in that not only is it about contracts for faculty, but like in my department, we have a lot of graduate students assigned to teach face-to-face classes for their summer funding. And so, I'd just like to make a plug that if it becomes clear that we can't really offer regular face-to-face classes, that we adapt those the way we did our spring classes for the second half and allow them to be like synchronously offered online and not canceled, because that will cause a lot of problems for our graduate students if we cancel those face-to-face classes.
I don't believe that. So I think that I think that it's only reasonable to be thinking about how those classes could be migrated to online, right, at this point. And I think this is the time that we have to do that. And again, I'm just speaking for my department. That's what we had a meeting this morning about that, and that's what we're doing. All of our classes will be online for this summer. We're going to commit to it right next week.
Okay, I just got a little thrown off by the discussion of the contracts and whether those can go out yet for faculty. And for us, we've already told students you'll teach this class, and I just want to make sure.
We have, yeah, and so have we. So
yeah,
we're planning on adapting their duties to an online environment. And again, I think that this is something that has to be through your chair and dean. to the various departments, because I mean, I know that, I mean, not trying to go down to the bottom line, but a lot of departments depend on summer funding to run. And so they can't cancel summer classes because they need summer tuition. So
That's right.
whether it be face-to-face or online, those classes must happen.
Thank you, Greg.
Any other concerns?
This is
All right, so
I have a quick question. Do you have anything to add to what we've been hearing from the provost office regarding promotion and tenure being extended 1 year for faculty, and as also for faculty that are at third year review?
I saw exactly what you saw. I had nothing else, no other information on that.
All right.
Is there a particular concern?
No, I just was curious.
Greg, somebody asked me if somebody got a year extra on the tenure clock for some reason, health reason or whatever else, are they going to get one more year? So, I mean, do these things, are they additive or are they consecutive? How does it work?
So as I read the memo, and please correct me, but as I read the memo, it's automatically opt-in to a year extension, and faculty can choose to opt out. So if somebody is doing everything they think they should be doing and are ready to be promoted, they can opt out of that extension and go for promotion on the normal clock. Other than that, everybody is delayed a year. Is that how everybody?
I think Umesh's question relates to how will they be judged, and the expectation when someone is granted extra time for any reason is that you would judge them on the same criteria as you would otherwise, that you will not add to the criteria because of the extension.
Oh, yeah, okay, I see. So that's a Laura Hill question, and she was in an all-day meeting and couldn't come here. Would you like, but she will be here at the next meeting. That can be something that I can ask her to discuss. Is that okay, Umesh? Or
Well, actually, no, my question was a little different. Some people have got a year's extension because of health reasons, they had a baby, whatever else. Now, let's say they got one more year because of this situation.
Oh,
so now they get 2
you're
years.
saying it's an additive.
Yeah, they're additive. Can get 3 years of extension, do all things that add up.
My understanding is that it adds on. So we have a faculty member who had a child and took 1 year, and then is ready to go up. And as a result, this faculty member has said, no, I'm not going to take that. But it would have added another year on to that faculty member's clock, but without having a penalty.
So I think that's something, because that's, as I understand it, but I think that what Judy brought up, I think that was Judy brought up, which was important, is what are the expectations the same within that extension period? So I'll talk to Laura about that, and given the number of things that'll be on on April's agenda, I might just ask her to make a posting about it, but I'll plan on asking her to be here to discuss it.
One final follow-up question, Greg. That is the annual reviews. Is that going to be continuing in cycle, or will that somehow be altered? Do you know anything about that?
I don't know whether this is on a college by college basis, but I saw something where there was like a big delay on the annual reviews.
What I'm asking, some faculty are in a cycle, or most faculty are in a cycle where they're giving a comprehensive review, intensive review, or whatever. Is that somehow going to be changed as well?
Yeah, again, these are Laura Hill questions. I don't know the answer to that. Why don't you do this? Anybody that has questions specifically to that, so I don't mess them up, send me an email. I will summarize all the emails and send it to Laura and ask her to talk about it. I think it's at April 6th is that correct? April 6th is our last meeting. So if you send me emails, I will summarize and get back to you, because I don't know the details.
All right, sounds good.
Or April 9th, okay. Did you have a question online?
think I'm relaying from Gail has said, get my texts going here. Laura says she's actually here but on live stream, and a quick answer to what's being discussed right now
Oh,
is,
okay.
is yes, the years will be additive.
Is Laura's on live? Oh, she's watching it on live stream.
That's
So the years will be additive.
That-
Will the expectations be the same? Well, just send me emails. We'll work with Laura and get the information back to you. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I know that. 4-point relay is not easy. All right. Then I just want to, again, I'm just so thankful for everything that everybody's done to make this work, and we are adjourned. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.